Hello, this is Travis Olson with module 13 case study. Section 1, we will summarize the case. This is about the Dover Unified School District, Nottingham High School, built in the 50s. Big population of 3,200 students at the high school. They've got a strong community, good working relationship with the superintendent and administration. Teachers, principals, and parents have all worked together to make a successful school district. The community loves the Nottingham football team, and the football team is very successful. The dilemma is that Miguel Hernandez, unfortunately, who was the starting quarterback, suffered a tragic injury and was paralyzed from the waist down. And now he's confined to a wheelchair. And then after a little bit of rehabilitation, he's finally ready to come back to school. But when he does, his classroom is changed, or his schedule is changed, excuse me. His schedule is changed because some of his classrooms were not wheelchair accessible. Miguel and his parents were not notified of the schedule change, and when they finally realize it, they are not pleased. As he is wanting to attend a specific college and needs the specific biology credit that he was moved out of. So there's the problem. Report any legal or ethical issues. This seems to be a violation of the free and appropriate public education, where Miguel's capable of learning. He's not allowed access to it because they don't have the proper renovations made. This is also a violation of the American Disability Act, and under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, it says that any change of placement for a student with a disability must be approved by the parents. That definitely didn't happen in this case. Ethical issues. School should be evaluating all these options beforehand with Miguel and his parents. They should be doing whatever they can to accommodate him. I feel like a couple of conversations, leading up to his return to school would really have helped this situation. All they had to do was reach out, the counselor knowing that, Miguel's coming back and he can't go to this classroom. Would you mind if we changed his schedule, or what else can we do? Coming up with options with them beforehand rather than just changing the schedule without notifying them could have helped. Schools should be partnering with the parents and students together to make the best decision for each kid. I don't think the school did that in this case. So, Section 3, synthesize exactly what has happened in a single sentence. Miguel Hernandez, a sophomore at Nottingham High School, was tragically paralyzed during a high school football game and has since been confined to a wheelchair. Upon his return to school, which was built in the 1950s, his schedule was changed without his or his parents' approval because his science classroom does not have wheelchair accessibility. That's the problem. Going over some more of these facts. People. We've met Miguel. Mrs. Guzman is the high school counselor who changed the schedule. Mrs. Hernandez is Miguel's mother, who's not happy. Mr. Hernandez is the father, who's also not happy, and he hires a lawyer to this Mr. Carey guy to defend them. And then we have Mr. Harvey, the school superintendent. We've talked about the place in Dover and Nottingham. The program, the high school, which is large. It's important that it's built in the 1950s because back in the 1950s there weren't as many accessible classrooms. Well, since then they have done quite a bit of renovations to make the school more accessible for all students, to whereas now 1/4 of the building remains as it was originally built in the 50s. So 3/4 of it have actually been changed, but it just so happens some of Miguel's classes are in the old portion where he can't access it. And there's limited wheelchair space. So that's more facts. Review and prioritize the information. Could this conflict, the situation, or the decision be damaging to the stakeholders or to the community? I think yes. If the school is unwilling to accommodate Miguel and his needs, there could be a big lawsuit, which could cause the community to lose trust in the school and the district. The school should be advocating for Miguel and his special needs. And if they say no, then they're not doing that. What individuals and groups have an important stake in the outcome? I think pretty much everyone in the area. Miguel and his parents, superintendent, principal, Mrs. Guzman, the community, the school. The community wants the school to stand up for their students, and if Miguel is not allowed to return to his normal schedule, I don't think that's them standing up for him. Have all relevant stakeholders been consulted? It doesn't really tell us, but the superintendent and school board and administration should be consulted. Further discussion with the Hernandezes should be held to correct the situation, to provide for the equitable use of educational resources for all students. Again, I feel like a little communication at the beginning of this could have corrected all of this and not caused them to get upset. They could have come up with some better options. Can I learn more about the situation? Yes, I would want to know specifics on how Miguel can be accommodated. Like, what all does he need? In addition, I would want to know if there's any other laws that specify rules pertaining to like old school buildings. Are there grants or federal monies that can be used to bring about necessary changes? I don't know. It doesn't tell us. Do I know enough about this to make a decision? Maybe. I would want to know if the administration is pushing back. It doesn't tell us if they're actually fighting it. It seems that the school is the one in the wrong, and I would want to know why they aren't willing to accommodate, especially since they know the laws. If the district is as strong and unified with the community, then their first priority should be to promote the educational success and well-being of each student, Miguel included. Section 6, here's our options. Option 1, the school district could do nothing. They could just say no to Miguel and his parents and their changes. If they do that, they could face some legal ramifications for violating some important laws. School district could face large fines, get suits. It'd severely damage their reputation, and a once strong community could turn on them. Option 2, they could make the necessary changes and allow wheelchair access to all parts of their school. They could seek federal grants for some of these renovations. They could hold fundraisers to help Miguel and pay for some of these renovations. Miguel was a beloved student of the community, and they just need to do anything they can to ensure that all students are able to use the school and everything in it. They need to work towards cultivating a culture of success for every student. Option 3, fight the Hernandez's claim. They could not make the necessary renovations and push back against the Hernandezes. Again, this could cause a rift between the district and community, and they could lose even more money paying for legal fees and suits and fines if they lose. So there's our 3 choices. Here's some pros and cons of each. If they do nothing, they could potentially save a lot of money because they're not making the renovations. And if they win their case, so it could save them a lot of money. Cons, they could get fined. It definitely shows that they're not willing to accommodate students with special needs, and they could lose good standing. Number 2, then make the necessary changes. They could, pros are Miguel and the other students' needs are met, bring about positive renovations to an old school, shows districts willing to follow the law, shows good example to students and staff, And it could be an opportunity to work together as a community and school to help a student out, raise funds, do all that kind of stuff. The cons: the renovations could cost the district a lot of money. Number 3, fighting the Hernandezes. The pros could be they could save the district money from not doing renovations. I really don't see any other pros in this option. Cons: they could get fined, unwillingness to accommodate, district could lose good standing, could cost them lots of money in legal fees and fines. Moving on. Choose the best option. Make the necessary changes is the best option. They should do whatever is necessary to make the appropriate changes to accommodate Miguel. The district needs to step up and understand that their building needs renovations. Their goal should be to advocate for the education and success of all students. This could be a great opportunity for the administration to use their skills to find the funding to make the changes, and an opportunity for the community to gather together to fundraise if necessary. I think the superintendent really needs to take the lead here and set the tone for advocating for all students with special needs. I think it'd be a good idea to hear options, some creative options from the community, and evaluate what's the best way to go about it, and determine course of action after that. Imagine implementing your decision, make the necessary change option, think about what may happen. The district may be forced to spend quite a bit of money to make the necessary changes. Identify who needs to know, basically everyone. Determine if you can deal on your own with the person involved. I think the superintendent and administrators should be present at this point for most communications with the Hernandezes, considering they have hired an attorney. Warn, don't threaten. The district is under the warning in this case, in my opinion. As long as they make the appropriate measures, they shouldn't be disciplined. But they're the ones. It seems like they're in the wrong. It's not like they're threatening the Hernandezes. Think about what you might do if you do next if the chosen plan of action doesn't work. I wouldn't see pushback from the Hernandezes if we chose to make the correct accommodations and renovations. Now, while the renovations are being done, it might be necessary to find another space, another classroom for Miguel's class to meet where he can access it so he can continue to participate in class. That could be a good option. The school should be advocating, again, for the equitable use of educational resources for every student. In this day and age, we can Zoom and those types of things too, so I don't know how long the renovations would take for him to be able to get into that classroom, but even if it was a couple weeks, perhaps he could Zoom in, do it online, or like I said, they could move somewhere to a new classroom where he can access it, just temporarily. I think all of those could be useful. That's section 9, implementing your decision. Here are the references that I have. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure.